क्षेमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all, thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Let us feel our innermost being, the essence of consciousness in our hearts. Let us feel it as the light of all lights. Let us imagine it is condensed in our heart as a spark of light, and let us concentrate on it there. As we concentrate, we see that spark of light is becoming bigger and bigger, brighter and brighter. It has enveloped my whole personality. I see I am that light, the light of consciousness. All my organs, right from skin down to the bone marrow, everything is made of light. like in a statue of wax. Everything is made of wax. So I am made of light. And the whole universe too is again the same light. All is controlled by this inner light. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, asatu ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityormam amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, and from this limited existence which is subject to death to the unlimited immortal existence. Peace, peace, peace. A very attractive topic as such, miracles. Miracles, this word creates an idea that something that should not happen, something that is unexplainable, and yet it is happening. It's an undeniable fact. Our capability of explaining it is exhausted, and therefore yet we cannot deny what is being experienced. So now that gets called as miracle. Suppose our faculty of understanding increases, intensifies, and now we are able to understand how it happens, then it is no longer a miracle. In my childhood I had heard a nice story that at one big this business firm, the head of that firm, he came but had forgotten something at home that needed to be brought. So there was a servant. So there was nothing to write, so he could not quickly find. So there was a piece of wood. On that piece of wood, he scribbled that for his message for his wife to send something with this servant. And to the servant who was illiterate, he told, just give this piece of wood to my wife, go to my home, give this piece of wood to my wife. And then he gave that wood. Immediately the wife saw what is written, brought that thing from the home inside and gave that, okay, take this. And then this servant was perplexed. What a miracle! How this piece of wood could talk. Now, what did the piece of wood tell this lady? And she brought this thing, and then, well, my boss was happy that he got what he wanted. So, what is it? Because now he didn't see that there was something written. For him, it was just a piece of wood, and therefore, for him, it's a miracle. So, these miraculous phenomena, they keep on happening, and one reason for that is that we do not have enough understanding. And when we get that understanding, the miracle part of it goes away, it gets understood. Swami Vivekananda, in the preface of his celebrated book Raj Yoga, mentions that, look, from the time immemorial, dawn of the history, various extraordinary phenomena have been recorded as happening amongst human beings. Witnesses are not wanting in modern times to attest to the fact of such events, even in the societies living under full blaze of modern science. These things do happen even in the modern science days, what we call scientific days. Extraordinary phenomena. And since we are not able to understand it, we tend to brush it or brand it as miracle, or it is just your mind is cheating you, as it were. So just brushing it aside or calling it delusion is one thing. But Vivekananda insists here that there is a great truth hidden in such phenomena, that we are not able to grasp the rationale behind it. How it is happening, we are not able to know. Not too long ago, one of our own Swamis, who is quite senior and is therefore not, trained like the modern people in understanding this idea of emails, but he has to use it. So he was wondering that if I get an email, where shall I go to get my email? Where is the post office? Where is that mailbox? Which address? Where shall I get it? Because he was not acquainted with this idea. He was acquainted that the address is written that this person on this number on the street, and this town, this zip code, and so forth, and then it gets delivered at that place. But if I am traveling and if I am not there, how shall I get it at some other place? Because he was only thinking in terms of the gross paper email, something that is to be delivered only in a physical location. So when it was told to him that it is not a physical location, you can access it at any location, he could not understand it, he could not believe it. And then when somebody else helped him, that okay, I will help you to get it, you can get it right sitting here, and then he helped him to get it, and his surprise knew no bound. that how could it happen? How could it happen? It is, for him, it is a miracle, because he didn't understand that the pros and cons of it, that how what caused it to get it there. He was tremendously surprised, and many of us, a huge population amongst us, even now, although we use it, we really do not know how it happens. But yet, because of the familiarity, it is no longer thought of as miracle. Not that we understand it. We don't need to. It is, we use it. And it comes to us. We don't worry how it happens and all that, but we know that it's not miracle because we are quite familiar with it, and it's a fact. So there must be some reason. When it is an everyday occurrence and is occurring to such a large population, the mystery, as it were, gets blurred. The mystery is not felt. It is not felt as miracle. It is, if you see, for a common person who understands how the cell phones work, nobody, very few would understand. But then, it would have been thought of a big miracle. Sometime, say 50 years ago, if it is told that you don't need that clairvoyance and all those psychic phenomena to happen, just you can flip an instrument small, and then from United States you can speak to somebody in Japan, and everybody can do it. That would have been thought as big miracle. How could it happen? Because we are not capable of understanding the rationale behind it. When we get to know the rationale, then we feel, now I understand it. It is possible to happen, such things to happen. Otherwise, it becomes a miracle. So, Swami Vivekananda says that our mind has so many different powers, and since we do not have a way to harness those powers, those who can harness it, what they achieve, we think that that is a big miracle. So he says that in this book, preface of the book Raj Yoga, that it is not a sign of a healthy scientific mind to brush aside all these phenomena which has been recorded, which are facts, and just because we are unable to explain it, we just try to say that that cannot happen, it is delusion of your mind, and so forth. But when you go deep enough, you see these phenomena, such things occur even now, like seeing ghosts and all. Most of it is because of the fears inside the mind, those things happen. But then, not that all things are of that type. There is the existence of so many things around us. Only those beings which are at our level of senses, those we can see. Other things at a subtler level we cannot see. But somebody develops or somehow gets a power to see them, that person can see it. And so there is the existence of it. And because somebody is able to see it, now because I am not able to see it, and there is no scientist, those instruments of our physical science can have the capability of showing it, I just say it's all humbug. Not really. because one can see it. You must have heard the name of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of all these wonderful detective stories of Sherlock Holmes. So, in those books, he has championed the power of reasoning, observation, reason, and then come to conclusion that yes, many things were presented to this Sherlock Holmes as something miraculous, something that cannot be explained. But then he is shown to push away that miraculous part, investigates, scientifically puts everything together, and then comes to a conclusion which explains this so-called mystery. But in his later life, this very man who was championing the this cause of reason and scientific investigation turned towards the stories of ghosts, supernatural spirits. He has many books written on those psychic phenomena. Not that it is he calls them miracles, but it is not in the domain of our physical science. Physical science is something that confines itself within the realm of the five senses and the brain. That's it. The logic that is part of our brain function, and the inputs that come through the five senses. Something that is not perceived by the five senses, the physical science cannot grasp it. There is that very nice book by Sir Arthur Eddington, Philosophy of Physical Science. Eddington was a very famous scientist in 1900s, and he has marvelous this. He is called father of astrophysics. So he has discussed the method of physical science in that book, that it is like this, that suppose you are in a pond, near a pond, and you are going to investigate the aquatic life. The water, it has these different creatures, and then you are investigating that. So this scientist goes there. He has a net to catch the creatures in the water. So he follows the science method that you have to experiment, observe, and deduce. So he throws his net and gets examines his catch. So several creatures were caught in it, and he concludes that all these creatures can live only in water. And another conclusion he draws is that each creature is at least 2 inches long. Then he again throws that net. This time he had to change his first conclusion, because he finds a frog. He catches a frog. Now the frog can live outside water also, and therefore he says, sorry, that first conclusion, the new research has thrown new light, under which I have to change my first conclusion, that some creatures cannot live outside of water, but there are some others who can live outside water. His second conclusion still stays the same. Many times he puts the net and examines the catch, and then makes some conclusions, brings out. But that second conclusion remains intact. Every creature has to have that minimum 2 inches of length. And that is the reason was that the distance between the two threads of the nets is 2 inches. So after telling this story, Eddington says that you see, our science is like that. We throw the net of these 5 organs on this universe, and whatever gets caught in that, that only we can examine, nothing more than that. So it should not be said therefore that nothing remains, nothing is there in the universe that we cannot catch by our 5 senses. He cautions about the conclusion of physical science. It is so subject to error. And even if some scientist says, okay, we will confine ourselves to the study, this is not in that book. This is what the Vedanta will say about it. Even if we decide to conclude on the basis of this 5 sense, this input that we get from the 5 senses, we will be satisfied with that because we don't have other instruments. So we can have only that study which can be done by the 5 senses. The problem is that study will always be erroneous, subject to a lot of unsolvable problems there. Because what you catch now, suppose you catch a fish, because the fish you caught was 5 inches long, so it got caught in that net. Correct. But when the fish was getting born, its length was not 5 inches. So you will not have any possibility of studying that fish from its birth. It is only after it grows to the, say, more than 2 inches, then you can study it, and not otherwise. So this is the source of what we call miracles. Vivekananda, of course, admits that lot of such records of such incidents could be fraudulent, and by people who are not very particular about meticulous recording. But yet some of them are true. And he says that this is all actually the powers of mind. We do not really harness all the powers of mind. When we can, then what appears to be miraculous actually comes in our grasp, and thus loses that idea that it is miraculous. And not only that, everybody should pay attention to the study of these powers of mind and try to develop the powers of mind. It is developed through what is he calls concentration on mind. It is the concentration. Concentration builds power. Our mind, if we observe, it is a constant problem that it doesn't remain at one point. It is scattered all over, and therefore the power is not available. Like this young boy sitting there, our Mayuk, he is looking here, looking there, looking there. So the power is what is happening, getting scattered. Thinks of one thing and then drops it, thinks of something else. It goes on like that. So it is, I gave his example, but it happens to everybody. Even when you try to concentrate, it keeps on just moving around, and so we cannot harness the power of mind because it is frittered away. So, as we practice the concentration, and it comes by practice, it is through the practice of concentration, gradually we see those powers developing. The great sage Patanjali, he has mentioned one chapter in his aphorisms is devoted to that. He says that this is not the goal of it, but such powers do come in the course of the concentration of mind. That one, for example, can start having a pleasant fragrance all around. There is no fragrant thing there. There is no fragrant incense stick burning. There is no reason for that fragrance, but it can be felt. He says that by concentration on the mind on the tip of nose, one can get that fragrance always, whenever that person wants. Then, when this Swami Vivekananda has written to his brother disciples that, I have found at this very interesting phenomena that you can understand the thoughts of everybody, thoughts in all minds. He writes that, let me tell you of one of my discoveries. And he writes as if it is so simple, that it is that he says, just efface the thought of I from yourself, and then you can see the minds of all. We cannot do it because we cannot efface I from our awareness. So he said, do it and you will see what is going on in the minds of all other people. There are so many such instances in Swamiji's life, Vivekananda's life, that it is the result for ordinary people, it is just miracle. But no, it is an expression of the tremendous power of mind. So he mentions that in his, it is another wonderful lecture that he had given during his second trip to United States. This lecture was delivered in California. It was titled Powers of Mind. A very interesting that presentation there, that the powers of mind, he says, we see what is coarse and gross through our senses, but actually the movers are not seen. The subtle is the mover and the gross is moved. So we see the moved. It is nowadays it is easy for you to at least get an idea of it, that you don't see software. Nobody can, it is not something to be seen. It is information. It is not visible as such. You cannot touch it, you cannot see it. And yet it moves all that we call hardware. It is so that is how the subtle is not perceivable by gross senses. But can you say it doesn't exist? It does exist, and that moves the gross. So our mind is like that subtle thing, and so it moves this body. And actually he says the mind is one. Everywhere the mind here and mind there, it is not located in space. And therefore if you can control what you call your own mind, well, you have controlled all minds. All minds have been controlled, because that is, there is nothing like my particular mind. It is not located in a space. Where is the mind? It is an interesting question. that where does the mind stay? It is, you cannot say that it lives in a particular part of the body. No, it is is not living in its idea of space is very different. So, in Patanjali's science and in general in Indian psychology, there is the description of three levels of space. One is this gross space that we feel. Sthulakasha. Sthul means the coarse or gross. Sthulakasha. So, gross space that we see. Then the question of mind. It is called Sukshmakash. Means it is at a very fine level. That space is very different from this gross space. And so you cannot ask this question, where does it live? You cannot say the mind is inside the body, like you say that the fruit is in that box. Now the fruit is gross, the box is gross, so you can see that the fruit is in the box. But you cannot see mind that is inside the body. It is not inside in that sense. So, when its powers are harnessed by concentration, and concentration is way to do it, and by concentration when these powers manifest, then that person is able to do so many things which appear to be miraculous to ordinary people who do not have any handle on those powers. So this, you see, that is he in one other lecture tells that that is the difference between the powers of different people. Those who have acquired more control and concentration, their powers therefore are different. Many great scientific discoveries are made through this exploration of mind by these people. He calls those people as that really depth scientists. Others are surface scientists. Means they are their capability is just to study what the others scientists have brought and then brush aside any phenomena that they are not able to understand. He calls in the book Raj Yoga that such surface scientists are more culpable in their these. Let me read that part. That they are therefore more culpable than those who think that their prayers are answered by a being or beings above the clouds, or than those who believe that their petitions will make such beings change their course of universe. Because if I am scientist, it hurts my prestige as scientist, to think that the prayers can be answered. My prayer, there is some supernatural being who will be answering my prayers. And we make all the prayers, but the surface scientist says there is nothing like that. There is no utility of prayer. Maybe you get some peace of mind yourself by doing it, but there is no such use. No prayers get answered. But that is not the case. It is you do not see it happening, doesn't mean it does not happen. Can you explain that facts? You brush them aside. And Vivekananda says that those others, they at least have the excuse of ignorance. They do not say that they know everything. But the surface scientist has the arrogance to say that whatever I cannot understand, that doesn't exist. So it is this is important to know, that we should be humble about what we understand through the study of external science. There are more powers in the mind that are not manifest in our life. So it is the he mentions many such phenomena that happens. That have you ever noticed the phenomena that is called thought transference? Transferring the thought of some person thinks and that thought gets transferred. It is one may say that, well, was that written by that person? No writing was necessary at all. You have a thought and then you can have the power to transmit it without any external means. This phenomena has been noticed. It does happen, although people do not recognize it, what cause it is, but in general we feel that the thought vibes are there. And therefore, when you go to some place, you feel a spiritually charged place. What happened there? No, nothing very that can be explained at a gross level. But people meditate there, people think of the holy thoughts there, and those vibes, as it were, remain there. So many people have told me they have not come here for any spiritual practice, or many of them have come just say an electrician or some other utility worker or maintenance worker. They came and invariably they express, wow, it feels so peaceful here. Now what makes peaceful here? Just think about it. We are on a very busy street. All the college students and university students, they are not very silent people, as I can tell you. It is all that is there. And still, what is the source of the peace that one feels there? The source of the peace is that the spiritual practitioners here, so many people, so many of you, keep coming and meditate and pray and think of noble thoughts, peaceful thoughts. Now that peaceful thought generates a field, just as the physical science is aware of, say, magnetic field, electric field, and so forth. There is this thought field also. That thought field is very easily transmittable if it is strong enough. So it is, and its extent is huge. The thought field, it can travel a good distance. If you are thinking of some person, the thought can go there. So it is easily, if you have that richness of the thought, then it gets transmitted. So with preparations, not by chance, a man wants to send a thought to another mind at a distance, and this other mind knows that a thought is coming, and he or she receives it exactly as it is sent out. And thought level transfer. It is possible that it is, and this is all the power of mind. He tells about Sri Ramakrishna. A very interesting thing. Many Sri Ramakrishna's life is has so many miraculous incidents happening. But Vivekananda did not like those to be published much, because the mind of the people will be taken away from spiritual practice. That is how, it happens to us, that when something miraculous is seen, then we keep on just pondering about it. We are miracle mongers, So it is, the mind would easily go in that direction. So he did not let people speak about it much. But still there are many incidents published. But one miracle that Swami Vivekananda speaks about, a great miracle, and he was the one who was really subject of that miracle. He said, you have seen the miracles of, they changing the objects here, there, and so forth. But Sri Ramakrishna had this miracle, this power, that to change the thought current of a person, he could mold the mind as a potter molds the lump of clay and gives it a shape. Here is this person who molds the mind and can give it whatever shape he wants. It is because he has developed that power. It is not a miracle for him, but we don't understand it. We see that it's miracle. What happened to Narendranath, Vivekananda's previous name? He was not atheist, but he would question that is there God really? Where is, if that God is there, how can I see that? Who has seen it? And Sri Ramakrishna molded him against his wishes. He did not want to get molded. But when you have, say, the lump of clay in a potter's hand, has the clay power to tell the potter, no, I don't want to get molded? You have no such authority. You are in the hands of the potter. The potter will mold that. That is the power that Sri Ramakrishna had. And Vivekananda says how he molded me and how easily. And nothing, all my resistance just broke down instantaneously with his touch. Those touch things we read in his biography, Vivekananda's biography, that almost after a couple of visits of Narendranath, Sri Ramakrishna was in that ecstatic state and touched Narendra to impart that supreme knowledge to him, give him that samadhi. And the whole world of Narendra immediately started getting shattered. And he quickly exclaimed, he shouted that, what are you doing this to me? I have my parents. Sri Ramakrishna smilingly said, oh, okay, you have your parents, then let it be for now. And he came to his normal consciousness. After that, after some more time, he again made Narendra unconscious of his present state, and then asked him various questions. That because he had the vision, which he said that he was from that sphere of 7 sages, the great bear that it is called in Western world, those 7 stars. So Narendra is coming from that one of that stars. So, and he made Narendra answer so many different questions that he asked at that time. And now, naturally, the conversation was not in our this present language, English or Bengali or such language. It was the mind-to-mind conversation, and he got all the answers confirmed by that what the Divine Mother had shown him. So, it is kind of miracle. So it is. This is very difficult for people with gross mind to understand, but this is there. Uh, the biggest miracle that we all experience, although we don't acknowledge it, but the questions come about it, and that is the one and many. That is that difficulty. If it is all one in the beginning, what made the many to come out? How the one became many? It is a phenomena. This phenomenon has been there, one becoming many. Therefore, we always have confusion as to one and many. We use these words. It is, for example, this is one sheet of paper. But if you see how many small particles are there, this is not one, this becomes many. It is. So one and many is always a problem, a wonder. Whether something is one or many depends on how you look at it. That decides whether it is one or many. So everything is one. There is no two there. That is how the sages declare that this universe, as we see it, in samadhi all shapes collapse. It is all one. And that logically we can see even now. Difficult to accept, but logically it can be shown. Just abstract your forms. Now let us just for a minute, let us think that my forms are gone, like the forms of animal crackers. They are actually one, but because they have different forms, we see the variety there. Just become, a little grown up. When a child grows up, then he sees that it is all same, no difference. So if we grow up a little bit, we see that these are just forms. Substance is the same, one. There is no difference at all. But the question is, who made this one into many? How it happened? It is just a miracle. That is the basic miracle of this universe, which has no explanation. It is the one without changing. It appears as many. Did it become many? Well, you are seeing it as many. But without any change, it didn't do anything. And yet how it becomes many? That is the miracle. It is the miracle of the miracles. It is involved in everything. Whatever we are doing or thinking, this problem, this one becoming many without any change, that is there. It is a perplexing problem for those who are attached to forms. When you are not attached to forms, then there is no such problem for you. There is no becoming many at all. So they smile at it. There is no many. It is just one. Even if you are seeing many, it is one. And even if you are seeing one, it is one. It doesn't change at all. This is a phenomena. That phenomenon is expressed in a mystic way by these two symbols. One is called Om, the all-pervading existence, one without second. That includes everything. That is the description of Om in Mandukya Upanishad and in many such scriptures. Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam. Mandukya Upanishad says that Om is all this that you see is Om. It is one without second. But what do you think about many? How does it happen to become many? Okay, since you want an answer to it, we will call it Reem. Reem. Reem is the symbol of the power, because of which one without any change appears to be many. So, but it is just given, the symbol is given there, that it doesn't provide a solution. The solution one finds out by going beyond form. And that is the power of meditation. The power of this concentration comes to every person can have that power. And as that power develops, we can see this truth of transcendental oneness which is immanent in everything. And thus one goes beyond suffering, beyond all doubts. That is, all doubts get just dissolved. They are not that you get answers, but they are dissolved. Getting answer to a question is one thing. It is, for example, just to give that if you are seeing a dream, and in the dream, say there is you are being chased by a tiger. Now, was that tiger now real or unreal? In the dream it was real. Where did that tiger appear from? If you ask this question, where did the tiger come from? In the dream you may have this question, where did the tiger come from? When you wake up, do you get answer to this question, where did the tiger come from? The question disappears, you say. There wasn't any tiger. How could the tiger come in this small room that I am sleeping? No tiger came there. It was what we call just a dream. So the question where that tiger was hiding before pouncing on me, that just disappears. So that is how this riddle disappears. The riddle, all riddles just are gone. That is how Mundak Upanishad describes it, that kshiyante sarva samshayaha. All doubts are now completely gone. So this is what happens. All miracles, that miracle part of it is gone because we see the truth. Thank you, friends. Any questions? This Y Lupo has some question. Is it heard?
It's on. Is it on, I say?
Hello. Hey there.
Now.
I always wondered, when we dream at night, we can experience miracles like flying and walking on water, just weird things, and we take it as completely normal in the dream.
Yeah.
And so why do we not question those miracles in dreams, but upon waking, what part of the mind turns on that then limits the mind from miracles?
Very good question. It is when you are dreaming, you are not burdened with these gross senses and the brain. That is happening without these. The gross body is not what you are experiencing in dream. The Vailuko that is in dream is not the same Vailuko who is sleeping. The Vailuko sees in the dream that he is riding a unicorn, and now if it is said it is completely irrational, where is a unicorn? But in dream it is perfectly rational. No problem in the dream. Do you know, Mayuk, what is a unicorn? What is it? What? Huh? What kind of creature, he said? Huh? Mythical creature. Okay. How does it look, like a horse but has one horn. So that is not a creature that you see here. But in dream you can have it perfectly okay. Because in dream you are not connected with the world of five senses and the logic that happens in the gross world. You have now a dream state logic going on, where many things are possible in that logic. And so when you again get connected to this gross body, gross senses, now again you have the restrictions of this, our gross sense organs and the logic that follows it. And therefore, you say that it was just a dream, it is not real. But it is very much real in the dream world. It may not be real in the gross world, but it is very much real in the dream world. It was, as you mentioned, that it was perfectly streamlined and logical, straightforward in the dream. Never you thought that to question while you are in dream. But when you wake up, now there are many restrictions on your perception. What is the waking state? It is the dream state that is percolating through the gross sense organs and gross our brain. It is, and therefore it gets restricted. It is these are all restricting things, our sense organs. Only that much of the mind can get expressed that our sense organs allow, nothing more than that. So therefore, in the dream experience, there is lot of scope. There is no burden of these sense organs, and so you can experience many more things. It is far more versatility. Just to give the example is at the gross level, but just to understand the electricity, it has lot of versatility. But when, say, it is going through say the light fixtures, then only that part, the electricity is only that power gets expressed. Its power to heat, power to cool, power to have this amplification of sound, all those powers are shut off. Only the light power is there. So when we are dreaming, all the versatility of the mind is available. When connected to one instrument, Now that which percolates through those instruments, only that part becomes available. So that is why you don't see it in the gross body, you don't even understand it by the gross logic. So, and it is quite natural not to understand it like that. How to explain? After all, it was dream. It is, sometimes we try to understand that how it happened. And then after a few minutes of thinking about it, we see that it is a hopeless task. We don't waste more time on it. Yeah. Any other question? With this, our Abhishek has a question.
So in this dream of this, our physical dream, here some people try to get out of this dream by meditating. But in the dream that we, these words are mixing now, but the dream that we do, our dream, in that nobody is trying to escape out of that dream. So even from that dream state, people should try to meditate and come out to realize who actually they were.
Yes, 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 it is a good question. Not that we do not try to escape from the dream. When we wake up, we don't remember it, that's all. That part gets obliterated. In the dream experience, we actually try to get out of that too. It is, there is, some movie was there some years ago, many years ago, that dream within dream within dream. What was that? Inception. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the levels of dream, at each level, this is also dream, and then we want to get out of it. How many? Rarely anybody, first of all. We want only to make this dream look nice. It should only good things happen. All the bad things should happen to my enemies. All that. But very few think that we should get out of it. That is the big difference. So, similarly, in that dream experience also, there is a struggle to get out of it. But it doesn't get remembered after the dream is over, because you are already out of it. That is why the sages say that this is just gone. This whole world, in Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya explains that this world, that we have so many problems about it, how it will happen, and what if new variants of corona come about, what will happen, if there is, we rake our brains, with all these, what will happen if this happens, if there is a third world war, and so many nuclear weapons, they are thrown everywhere, what will happen to mankind, or if the aliens arrive here, then how are we going to cope up with that? And we think of all these problems here also. But, well, nobody wants to escape this world. Very few want. It is because we consider it to be real. And so we don't want to, we only want to make it nice world. Something that gives me more and more enjoyment. Yeah. All these ideas therefore come. This world as such is good. The only thing is my spouse does not listen to me. That is the only problem. So it is, if that is fixed, then this world will be so nice. It is, that is what our idea is. Make this world nice. It cannot be made nice. It is nice as it is. It is made with all these ingredients, contradictory ingredients in it. It cannot be made nice. But you can go out of it. Like the dream. It has its own ingredients. It happens. You go out of it, and it all becomes meaningless. Similarly, this will also be a dream that you go out and you say, as Vivek Chudamani that I was quoting, that Kutragatam Kenava Nitam Adunaiva Maya Drishtam. The sage who gets into that samadhi says that where did all this world that I was just seeing, what happened to it? It just goes away like dream. Exactly like that. Any question upstairs?
Yes. There is one web question from Abhijit C.
Who? Abhijit
Abhijit
C.
C.
Okay. Namaskar.
Pranam Maharaj.
Pranam.
An important part of scientific inquiry is measurement and quantification.
Yes.
Scientists may be doubtful due to the lack of its quantifiability or measurability of miracles. Do you have suggestions or ideas on how to quantify or measure miracles or mystic experience?
Well, very good idea, that how can, you are very correct in that, that quantification and measurability. That is the plank on which scientific investigation stands. There has to be measurability. But our tools to measure the sense organs, the basic tools that is used, somebody say, no, we can measure by microscopic those tools that our eyes cannot see. But again, that who sees the microscope? Your eye sees the microscope, isn't it? These are the basic fundamental tools that we are using, our sense organs. And their measuring capability itself is very, very gross, and therefore they are not able to measure. And therefore, in the gross science, you cannot have the measurability of these phenomena. The idea of measurement and quantification, that does not occur in the refined state. Its measuring tools then become very different. Through proper meditation, one gets some finer tools that cannot be described in by our present words, because then they will also become like the gross tools. They are very superfine tools by which these things can be measured. Even the things that matter in our life, they are immeasurable. Can you measure happiness? No, there is no measurement to that. Can you measure love? There is no measurement to that. How to measure love? Everything that is really important in life is not measurable. And therefore, if science is that which is dependent on measurement and quantification, then the science does not touch the most important things in our life. Yes, I cannot tell therefore that ways to measure those things, but if one goes deep into meditation, we will be able to see, have those tools by which you can see that sense of love, sense of, this peace. How much peace? Well, you can have a tool to measure that, but it is a very subtle tool. I remember that it is Chetanananda ji had given one lecture here, that how to measure the spiritual progress. And he said this, lecture actually was inspired by the advertisement of that exercise instruments, that it is before it is shown that the fellow like that, and then that exercise instrument, whatever it was, and after that, after a slim person shown there, after, of course, the advertisement, they said the one who made that artist was fired. Why? Because that instrument was to be sold in Arabian country, and then it all completely misfired because they read from right to left, and so it is. So that is, he said that there should be some way before and after, and that picture is shown in Bhagavad Gita by what is called Sthita Prajna Lakshan. Sri Ramakrishna also mentions that how the mind changes. The person, the turbulence goes down, and then the external gross effects of it are seen in the behavior of that person. And that person becomes far more considerate, far more universal in the love, not possessive at all. All the idea of possession goes away. All these things one can see as the external changes in that. So, but the tools for that measurement have to be developed in the mind. They cannot be spoken of in a lecture like that. So, thank you. Nice question. So, let us conclude with the closing prayers after telling the upcoming programs. You know that on 18th of this month there is the day-long retreat on seeing deeply. It is based again on Vivek Chudamani, Swami Tyagananda, the learned Swami from Boston. He is going to give that retreat, and there is some space still for people to register for that. So you can either register online or you can register with Naomi there in the office. You have to pay $10 more after yesterday, from yesterday onwards. It is the fee was $20 till 3rd. Now it is $30. It doesn't matter, it is $10 more. So it is, that is one news. Second news is on not coming Tuesday, but Tuesday after that, there is the Tuesday lecture by a visiting nun from the Sarda Mutt in Dakshineshwar. Her name is Prabuddha Prana, and she is going to give talk on Sri Ramakrishna and the scholars. Then there is on a Sunday lecture before that, that is on 12th of this month, by one scientist, Prashant Pal. So he will be giving that Sunday lecture. The title of that is Confluence of Science and Contemplative Paths. That will be on this coming Sunday, 12th. So other programs during the week will go on as usual, the Tuesday, Friday classes and meditations, etc. So let us now conclude with the regular closing prayers. So recite the prayer as loudly as you can. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So now we will have the arati, and after that the soup supper, not for the online listeners, the soup supper will be only for those who are here. Others can have it at their home. They have to make their own soup. Yeah, they cannot measure it, correct. Huh? That will be thought as miracle, but that day is not far when it is actually just as by artificial intelligence you can convey the sound and sight. Similarly, you can convey with more advancement the taste and the smell and the touch also. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Lord, assuming human form, stainless, Lord, assuming human form, transcendent yet filled with love. You free us from the stain of sin and ornament our world. Consciousness is your form. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Looking at them, delusion is gone. Ocean of shining love and feeling ever inebriated in your infinite love. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Form our boat to cross this world. Revealed to us as God incarnate and the Lord of all things, helping us join with you. Your mind always set in the divine light. Your mind always set in the divine light. This we can see through your grace. Destroyer of our worldly sorrow and compassion soul, infinite is your word. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance, saving us from darkness and fear. Renouncer of all lust and lucre, therefore you were always burning sensual light. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. Your fearless your mind very firmly resolved, causeless refuge of your devotee, causeless refuge of your devotee, constant cast and burn. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and even-sightedness. You give love and even-sightedness to remove our anguish here. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Danga ranga bhanga, these are all the sound of Vedanta. Danga ranga bhanga, these are all the sound of Vedanta. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Hara Hara for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you give to us, granting us refuge, all seeing Gauri. Om dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's basis, nature's essence. O Mother Divine, our love to you. We come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. जय श्री राम कृष्ण देव की जय। जय श्री शारदा देवी की जय। जय श्री स्वामी विवेकानंद की जय। जय श्री बुद्ध देव की जय। जय श्री जीसस क्राइस्ट की